are at Disney MGM Movie Studios, so you probably think that we're in Hollywood, but we're not. We're in Orlando, Florida. The weather's warm like California, except I've heard that they have alligators here. But the swamps of the Everglades and occasional hurricanes haven't stopped Hollywood from setting up a mini studio here, only 50 miles from the Kennedy Space Center, where they launched the space shuttle. And that's an interesting coincidence, because the big production here is the story of the American space program and its mission to put the first man on the moon.
I'm directing because I think that this is the coolest story in the world, and I don't think anybody else will want to go through the work in order to tell it.
Yes, Tom Hanks is working on this production, though not as a star. He's the mastermind behind the whole series and is directing the first episode. But this isn't a movie. It's a 13-hour miniseries for television.
It started with one guy in space for 15 minutes. Actually, it started much longer than that, but that's where we're sort of beginning. And how it ended with, you know, guys literally sleeping on the moon for 3 days, getting up in their pajamas and brushing their teeth and putting on their suits and going out for 7 hours at a time to be in a place where human beings will not be able to go back to again probably for hundreds and hundreds of years.
The Mammoth miniseries, appropriately titled From the Earth to the Moon, spans a crucial decade in space travel, from 1961 to 1972.
What we have been fed over the course of the years is really the astronaut as a single type, and NASA as a single entity, and as the technology as a single technology. But in fact, what it took in order to get these guys to go to the moon and come back is pretty complex stuff.
Space has always been one of Tom Hanks' passions.
I ran home from school during the Apollo 13 crisis to see what the latest was. In my head, I had a sense of the scale of what humankind was trying to accomplish. The idea that these three little guys in this, or this one little guy, or these two little guys in this tiny, essentially aluminum can, were traversing these vast distances.
So naturally, Tom's part as astronaut John Lovell in the film Apollo 13 increased his enthusiasm.
What we understand about going to the moon is all of this stuff was easy. They pressed a button, they picked up the thing, and they got to the moon. But in fact, every step of this thing was fraught with these possibilities that could mean that either they don't get to do what they want to do, or in fact that they could die.
I mean, we're talking about 400,000 people working for the better part of a decade to do something that almost was science fiction. And they did it.
This series is based on the book A Man on the Moon, and the author is another space nut from childhood.
My mom says that when I was 5 years old, she took me to the planetarium and I already knew the names of all the planets.
The enthusiasm he shares with Tom Hanks has made collaboration easy.
The thing that's great about him is that he is really clear on wanting to do this right and has a very clear vision of what he wants this project to be.
How hard is it for you to do all these things? Obviously, this is going to take up a year of your life.
Oh, it's already taken up a year or so. It's really what it is. I mean, I love the material, so it's easy. This is the stuff that I read about all the time anyway.
He knows the inside, he knows the kind of things you're going through. I mean, he sat in a suit very much like this for many hours while they worked and sorted out the bugs and everything else. So he definitely empathizes with your situation.
Incredibly, Tom has obtained some of the actual abandoned NASA hardware, the real stuff.
That right there is the hatch to the actual command module. That, of course, is a prop, but what we're standing in right now is the actual White Room from the entire Apollo program. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Jack Schmitt, Al Bean, anybody who flew in the Apollo space program came in through here. Hopefully the audience at the end of this says, wow, that really looked cool, and I had no idea it was as difficult to do as it was.
This is an exact replica of NASA's Mission Control in Houston. This miniseries must be costing a fortune, about $52 million. I wonder, it might have been cheaper to actually send Tom Hanks to the moon, but then that's Hollywood, Orlando. Behind the scenes in Florida, this is Bridget Bass for The Entertainment Show.